Hi. In today's session, we'll talk about back-to-back order. We'll understand what is the meaning of back-to-back order process and what are the setups required. We'll see. After completing the setups, we'll execute the same process in the application. Here is a simple example. When you talk about standard sales process, so if any organization is going to do the sales activity, first they have to receive the order from the customer. Here we have organization A who's acting as a customer for organization B. So when you talk about organization A, when they find the requirement within their organization, they have to raise the requisition and they'll place the order to their suppliers. The organization A, say here organization A is placing the purchase order to the organization B. Once the organization B receive this purchase order, they have to record in their books as a sales order. Okay, whenever organization B get this purchase order from the organization A, they record the same in their books as a sales order. For the organization A point of view, they want to purchase, so there is a purchase order for them. So organization B is doing the sales. The order what they receive from the organization A, that will become sales order for them. So once they record the sales order, if the stock is available within their warehouse, they book the sales order and they do the picking of the material as per the customer request, and finally they ship the material to organization A. The moment the organization A receives the material, they'll record goods receipt. The first step is organization A is raising the requisition, and based on that they are placing the order to organization B. Third step is based on the purchase order whatever organization B is receiving, they are creating the sales order. They are doing the activities like booking the sales order, picking the material and shipping the material to organization A. Finally, once the organization A receives the material, they'll record the receipt, goods receipt, or you can call as GRN, goods receipt note. This is very standard sales process. So that means here organization B is maintaining the stock. If organization B is not going to maintain the stock, still they want to fulfill their customer demand, how the process, what sort of process organization B follows. We'll look into this slide. So the same we call as a back-to-back order. The case is the organization B is into sales process, but they don't maintain any stock. If there is any demand from their customer, they get the material from their supplier and they supply back to their customer. So in this scenario, here I taken the three organizations, organization A, organization B, organization C. The organization A has some requirement. They are raising the requisition within their organization itself. And finally, based on the requisition, they are placing the order to their supplier. Organization A supplier is organization B. Once the organization B receive this order from organization A, that they'll record in their books as a sales order. If they have stock availability within their inventory, they can ship the material to their customer. Okay, organization B customer is organization A. They can ship the material to organization A. But the case is organization B never maintains stock within their warehouse. So with that reason, what they should do is whenever they get the order from organization A, it's nothing but their customer, they have to raise the requisition internally within the organization B. They raise the requisition and they place the purchase order to their supplier. Organization A is placing the purchase order to organization B. Because of this demand, organization B is placing the purchase order to organization C. Now, once the purchase order is received by organization C, they'll create sales order in their books. And if stock is available, they just book the sales order and they do the picking They pick the material from the warehouse and finally they'll ship that material to organization B, who's the organization C's customer. For organization C, B is the customer. For organization B, A is the customer. Now, what organization B doing here? So organization B is not maintaining the stock. Whenever they get the order from their customer, they are placing the same order to organization C. Finally, the organization B is fulfilling their customer demand. So the point here is the organization B, whatever the activity they are doing, whatever the process they are following, that sort of process we call as back-to-back order process. That means if there is any demand from their customer, they get the material from their supplier and they'll supply back to their customer. So they don't maintain the stock. If they get any order from their customer, they'll purchase and they'll supply. This process we call as back-to-back order. So in this back-to-back order process, so what organization B is going to do? When they get the order from the customer, that they record in the order management as a sales order. They create sales order and they book the sales order as a part of Oracle Fusion Order Management. Then based on this sales order, within the Oracle Fusion purchasing, the organization B, the purchasing department, has to create purchase requisition. Okay, within the purchasing, the organization B, what they do is they'll create the purchase requisition. So against the requisition, they have to create the purchase order, which they place this order to organization C. Whenever they receive the material from organization C, they create the receipt and they do the activities like picking and ship confirmation. So now we are taking the case as back-to-back order process, which can be handled by organization B as per our example. Okay, if organization B is going to implement this Fusion applications and if they are going to use Fusion SCM, what sort of setups they have to perform, how the process will work, that we are going to see in this session. Fine. First we'll see what setups we have to perform within this application to execute back-to-back order process. Fine. So we'll see the back-to-back order. So first we'll see setups. Which setups we have to complete to execute this process. Okay. So to talk about setups, the first point is, so for what sort of material or for which items they purchase from their supplier when they have a demand from the customers. We have to identify for which items they are following this process. So that item we have to create in the system first. Say as a part of setups, you can say create item. Okay, so create item, and after creating the item, we have to do some additional setups. So we'll discuss more detail level. These points already we discussed. It's all about running the collection process and all as a part of sales order creation, execution, and RMA. In those concepts we discussed these points, but again here also we have to execute for this back-to-back order process purpose. So what we have to do is, after creating the item to use in the back-to-back order process, we have to run the collection process, which we call as collect planning data. Once again we'll discuss what is the purpose of this process and all. So after running this process, we can add this item in the price list. So what are the new item we are going to create for back-to-back order process, the same item we have to add in the price list to set up what is the sales price for this item. Say add item in price list. Okay, add item in the price list, and we have to create ATP rules. So create, we'll discuss detail level what is the purpose each and every setup we are going to perform in the system. So we have to create ATP rules available to promise rules, and we have to create sourcing rules also. Say create sourcing rules. Fine. And we have to set up sourcing assignment set. Say set or say set up sourcing assignment set. After completing these setups, we have to set up default procurement agent, basically we call as a preparer. Say set default procurement preparer. Fine. Now to set default procurement preparer. After completing this, we have to make sure that supplier level default ship to and bill to locations are available. Okay, or I'll say set default ship to and bill to locations for supplier. Okay, we have to set default ship to and bill to locations for supplier. So after completing this, we have to run the same. You can just, again, collections process is not required. You can directly run process called as refresh and start order fulfillment, or say sales order. Say refresh and start, say order. I think the name we could see as order only. Refresh and start order promising, or there are the server. Okay, this process we have to run. Say this job we have to run. So these are the basic setups which you have to complete to run the back-to-back order process. So these setups are totally different from the setups which we completed from inventory, purchasing and order management side as a basic setups. Okay, already we completed basic setups and we tested few scenarios. So if you want to test the back-to-back order process, these are the additional setups which you have to execute. Okay, so along with this, we have to set one more setup. Basically, if you are dealing with the fresh instance as a mandatory, you have to just enable that customer sales order fulfillment feature in the procurement offering. Okay, if you are dealing with a vision instance, already within that instance, if the back-to-back order is process is executed for any one of the business unit, again you no need to do this setup. So if you are dealing with this, when you are implementing the back-to-back order process in specific instance first time, you have to enable this feature which is a part of procurement offering. Say enable, say you could see as a customer sales order fulfillment. Okay, this would be available. This option would be available to enable as a part of procurement offering. Say at procurement offering. Okay, so these are the basic setups we have to complete. After completing these setups, what we are going to do is say process. We'll go and create the sales order. Create sales order. After creating the sales order, okay, based on the sales order creation, system has to create the requisition within the purchasing application. To create the requisition against the sales order, we have to run one process. Just make a note. The process name is release planning recommendations. This process we have to run. We'll discuss once again. Just I am trying to list out what are the steps we have to execute once we are ready with the setups. Fine. We have to run this process. After running this process, system would create requisition. If you want to create the purchase order also automatically, what you can do is simply you can create purchase agreement against the same supplier, from which supplier you are going to purchase the material based on your customer demand by creating the sales order. So better what we can do is we'll go and create the purchase agreement also. So that system would create, along with the requisition, it would create purchase order also against the purchase requisition. Sorry, against that purchase requisition, yes, it would create. So here we'll create purchase agreement. Okay, we'll go and create the purchase agreement. Fine. So once you run this process, system would create requisition and purchase order. Requisition it would create because we have a back-to-back item related sales order, and it will create against that requisition, it will create the purchase order since we have an agreement with the supplier. Fine. So once we run this process, anyway, system will create those two documents. Now what we have to do is, so we have to record the receipt. Once we place the order to supplier, supplier will supply the material. So the moment we receive the material, we have to create the receipt. So create receipt against that purchase order. After that, we'll go and check on-hand quantity availability also. Check on-hand quantity. Then we have to perform the picking. So create pick wave, and we have to confirm the pick slip and ship confirmations. So confirm pick slip, and we have to confirm the shipment also, because we have to ship to our customer. So confirm shipping. Okay, and in between, when we are performing these different activities, we'll go back to our sales order and we'll keep checking the status, what sales order is addressing the process, where it is standing and all. After completing the shipping, what we will do is we'll import that sales order information to receivables as an auto invoice. For that, we have to run the process called as import auto invoice. Okay, so this is what we have to understand when we talk about the back-to-back order process. To implement the back-to-back sales order process, we have to complete these setups. Item creation, if you don't want to create the item, if item already available, you can set the relevant parameters which will support the back-to-back order process. And these are the steps which you have to execute once all the setups are ready for the back-to-back order process. Okay, so here we'll create the item. Okay, the first step is we are going to create the item. When you create the item related attributes we have to set. Again, as a mandatory, we have to set the what you say, this list price. We call as list price is nothing but what is the price for that item we have to set, so that based on that system would create the requisition purchase order whenever you create the sales order in the order management. Okay, first we'll go and create the item. We are going to create the item by setting the required parameters which are required for back-to-back order process. Fine. Go to instance, go to navigator, go to product management section, select task called as product information management. Just click on product information management task. So we are going to create the item by setting the required parameters for back-to-back. Because system has to identify this item can be used in the back-to-back order process or not. So click on task list, create item. So already we created multiple items the previous session. So once again we are going to create item to set back-to-back order, or I mean to say for the back-to-back order process purpose required parameters for this item. That means this item we are going to use in this process. Select our inventory organization. The organization name is ERP3 item organization. Select item class, whatever we created. The item class we created as a ERP3 computers. Now the item which we are going to create, that we are going to purchase as well as we are going to sell to the customer. We are going to purchase from the supplier, and the same item we are going to sell to the customer. So select the relevant item template so that automatically system will set the required attributes for this item. So I'm selecting template called as purchased item. So if you look into this purchased item template, there are attributes which are enabled for purchasing process as well as sales process also. So select purchased item template. That would help us to default the required parameters for purchasing process as well as sales process also. That's how the item template is defined. Click on OK. Okay, just click on OK. Now system would create item by using this item class for this item organization. And based on this template, system would default all the attributes, how those are defined within the template itself. So already we defined the item number generation, everything as a part of item class. The same system will follow. Fine. Let system create item by taking all these inputs. Created item. Now we have to write the item description. Within the item class, we set the rule as the description should be written by user only, right? So we can name it as ERP, because our item class is computers. So we'll create one item called as MacBook. Okay, as a prefix I am writing as ERP, or you can write as ERP3 MacBook. just to identify our item, that's all. Set these mandatory attributes, item status. Okay, if the item is involving in the different stages, in that case it is required, but for our item that is not applicable since the field is mandatory, set as active. And life cycle, this is also not applicable for our item but set as active. So after setting that certain attributes, the fields system is converting as optional. Earlier you could see those fields are mandatory. Fine, just active in the sense those are not involving in the status and phases. It's a default status which you have to maintain for every item as active. Done. Now under overview, you have to select the unit of measurement that you can select for our item as a each. Okay, set as a each. Now go to tab called as specifications. Go to specifications tab. So in EBS, what are the different tabs you find when you create the item? The similar tabs you could see here in vertical manner. Okay, these are the different tabs. Purchasing, they're given as a hyperlinks which will have a relevant attributes. Purchasing, planning, sales, and order management, everything we can see here. So we selected template at the time of item creation. Because of the template, you can notice the relevant attributes are defaulted here. I'm selecting purchasing. Okay, just click on purchasing hyperlink. So the template defaulted this item as a purchased item and purchasable. In the same way, if you go to sales and order management, here you could notice the required parameters for sales process. Already system is defaulted. You can notice customer ordered as, okay, customer ordered enabled as, right? So these attributes required for item to purchase as well as to sell. Now what we have to do? So we created item. Okay, now go to tab called as purchasing. So here under purchasing tab, you have a pricing. Provide the price for this item. Okay, provide the price for this item. Okay, this is a list price, it's not a sales price. So purchase price, what is the price for this item? I'm just giving as $500. Okay, I'm giving as $500. And here the other attributes, okay, pricing done. Exit routing and all not required. That's all. Here just set pricing. That's more than enough. Already you can notice these attributes set to yes, right? Now go to sales and order management section. Okay, sales and order management section. Here you can set ATP components. It totally depends. The item can be whatever the item you are creating, that item may be buy item or make item. That totally depends on which item you are dealing. You may set the components. Here I'm just setting ATP components available to promise. I'm setting as a material. Okay, just material and check ATP check. So system should keep availability of the material when we are going to record the sales order. Fine. And under the same order management section, here we have back-to-back enabled. Whether this item we are going to use in the back-to-back order process or not, that we have to specify. Yes, we are going to use this item in the back-to-back order process, right? So these are the attributes we have to specify here under order management. Any other attributes? No, that's all. Those attributes primarily have to set as a back-to-back. Yes. And if you go to inventory, so inventory level, these attributes you could see as enabled done. And the planning level, so you can specify this item is the buy item or make item. Now we are going to use this item as a buy item only. We are going to buy from the supplier instead of making this item within the organization. Done. So these are the additional attributes you have to set for the item which you are going to use in back-to-back order process. Done. Now this item we have to associate to our inventory organization. This item we are creating in the item master, and we have to go first. Let's go to item people. Okay, go to item people. These are all points. Now the basic item definition we discussed already, but here majorly we have to focus on what are the additional attributes we have to set for back-to-back order, back-to-back item. Okay, so here you can notice system is defaulting the person which you set as item people within our item class. The same privileges system is defaulting. Here we no need to do anything. Now this item we have to associate with our child organization. Just select tab called as associations. Go to associations. Since we created this item by selecting the item master, that you could see this item is already associated with item master. Now we have to assign the same item to our child organization. Click on add. Just click on add. We want to assign this ERP MacBook item to which child organization. So we have child organization called ERP tree Dallas inventory. Okay, select and say apply. In the background you can notice the item is assigned to this Dallas inventory. Now you can say done. So we created item and we specified additional attributes which are required for back-to-back order process. The same item we assign to our inventory organization. Now you can say save and close. Okay, click on apply. Just click on apply. Now this item is ready. We'll go and find the same item. Go to task list. Click on manage items task. Okay, within the item class, when we completed in the session where we completed setups for inventory, within the same session, hope you remember, we completed item number generation rules and everything as a part of item class. Based on that, now you can find the number for this item. So we are not very sure about that number what we configured, but we given the item description as a ERP MacBook. We can search for our item with a description. Okay, MacBook. Search for ERP MacBook. Here you can notice our item. The item number system is created as a ERP 1002. That means we given item number prefix as ERP. I think the starting number we given 1001. Already we created one item, and this is second item. So if you notice, the same item is associated with a Dallas inventory as well as item master organization. So at the time of item definition, we specified those parameters. Just verify the same parameters are defaulting to $inventory item association or not. Okay, select $inventory. Okay, that record you can select or else directly click on the item number, and we'll go and cross check what are the parameters we set for that item at item master organization level. Those are reflecting to this child organization or not. That's very important. So go to purchasing. Yes, price is defaulting. Go to sales and order management. So yes, ATP components are defaulted. ATP check is defaulting. The back-to-back order enabled attribute is defaulting, and inventory and all by default system will pick based on the template. Done. So everything is getting defaulted. Good. Now you can say save and close. Now item is ready to use in the back-to-back order process. Fine. What is the next step? So this item here already we discussed about what we are going to do. We're done with the item creation, which is required for back-to-back order. Now we have to run the collect planning data job. Why it is required? The item whatever we created, the item should be available in the collection repository. Okay, collection repository or collection center, you can say. It will be called as collection repository. If the item is available in the collection repository, then only you can find the item through ATP rules. When you create the ATP rules, the items which are available within the collection repository, those items only we can access to define the ATP rules. Now our item we have to select at the time of ATP rules definition, otherwise you cannot complete this setup. So we'll run this process so that our item definition will be updated within the collection repository, so that when you are creating the ATP rules and other setups, our item would be available to complete the required setups. So that is the reason we are going to run this collection process. To run this process, this task you can find from the search page or else, okay, if not from the search page, directly you can follow the navigation. Just go to navigator. Within the navigator, go to supply chain planning. You can just click on plan inputs. You can click on the task called as plan inputs. Go to task list. Click on collect planning data. Already we submitted collect planning data in the previous session itself, right? So based on that submission, system already updated all the details in the planning repository. Since we created one new item to update that information also in the planning center, we are going to run this process once again. Select OPS, source system as OPS. So collection type, okay, collection type, net changes and targeted. If you are running this process first time, you have to run by selecting the targeted, otherwise you can run by selecting the type as a net change, so that system would update only the for which reference entities there are some updates, that information only it will move to planning repository. Now we just created only one new item. Because of that reason, you can select net changes, so that what are the new updates, those updates only system will move from this source system to planning repository. So which entities data we want to move into planning repository? Only item. The remaining all the definitions already we submitted the previous sessions, right? Now you can just select, since we created new item, that information need to be updated. So select items. Okay, select items, then you can submit. Say yes, say okay. Just go to schedule process page to check the status of this job. Go to schedule processes. Okay, so collection job set, this is what system submitted. Now system started extracting that item data from the inventory, and next step would be it will load the same data into planning repository. First step is it extract data from the source system, and second step is it will load the same extracted information into the planning repository. Okay, just keep hitting on this refresh. So now you can notice this job is called this extract job. Now after completing this extraction of that items, it is loading the same item into planning repository. That is the purpose of this job. It extracts data from the source system and it will load the same data into planning repository. Once that data is available in the planning repository, mostly that is the data we use in the setup and do process. This is complete. Yes, still you could see the job status as running. Whatever the data it collected into staging tables, the same data it loaded into collection repository. Now the data is not required to be available in the staging tables. That is the reason system is automatically purging, deleting. Fine. Okay, so verify the job status. Collect job set, succeeded. These are the other child jobs system is running, which are related to the same job as the child jobs, right? So create trees, dimensions, etc. We don't need to wait to see the jobs has to be completed. If you see the job status called as collect job set status has succeeded, that's more than enough for us. Done. Now what is the next step? Okay, we can add this new item into price list, which we created as a part of pricing setups, right? So go to price list, whatever we created for other items. Go to navigator, scroll a little down. Here go to supply chain execution section, and we have a task called as pricing administration. Just click on pricing administration. Click on pricing administration. Go to task list. Here we can find the price list, whatever we created. Click on manage price lists. Find our price list. We given for everything prefix as ERP tree, right? Click on search. This is the price list which we created. Click on edit and and within this price list we are going to add new item. To add new item, so here you can notice price list lines. Under that, item is selected. So for which item you want to set sales price, select that item, click on add. So we created an item called ERP MacBook, right? So when you say item here, it's nothing but item number, but we given ERP MacBook as a item description. The item number is ERP 1002, right? Search. So this is the item we created for back-to-back order process. Select and say OK. Okay, select item to set the price. Now click on create charge. So here the selected item, whatever we added here, that you have to select first, then click on create charge. Just click on create charge. Scroll little down. Okay. Here you can provide the base price for the item. So at the time of item definition, the purchase price we given as a $500. So if you are going to purchase that item at $500, at what price you are going to sell to the customer? So $600. And at the time of sales order creation, if you want to change this base price, you can enable the checkbox called as allow manual adjustments, so that at the time of sales order creation, if you select this item, for this item you will be able to change the price. If you want to do that, you can enable the checkbox and set the default start date to use this item where this price is applicable in the sales order process. Today date. Okay, that's it. This is how we have to add the item to price list, and we have to add, that is the first step. The second step is we have to set the price for the same item. Say save and close. So we submitted this collection process and we added item in price list and we set sales price also. Now we'll go and define the ATP rules. Okay, we'll go and define the ATP rules. ATP rules means available to promise. ATP means available to promise. Fine. So we'll keep our item to be available in the sales order process. Okay, so our item should be available in the sales order process. So go to instance. So already we're done with this price list. Go to navigator. Within the navigator, go to plan inputs or order promising. Any task you can select. Okay, go to order promising. System is loading this dashboard information. It's done. Now go to task list. Okay, we have to create ATP rules. Click on ATP rules. Say create. So we can give the name as ERP tree ATP. Okay, we created another ATP rule also, right? So now we can add our item in that rule, or else we can create new ATP rule also. Okay, anything we can do. Well, let's create new rule for this item. ERP3 ATP, and description is not mandatory. Under ATP rule criteria, okay, you can just proceed with the supply chain availability search. So which data need to be available when you are processing the sales orders? On hand quantity and all we required. So based on the requirement, which information we required, those we have to enable. Such components and resource. If this data should be available in the relevant process, so those relevant checkboxes we have to enable. For us, primarily what we need is the item. For our item, on hand quantity system has to display when you create the sales order, and other supply types also, the purchase order information, whatever the purchase order requisition system would create, that information also. If you want to search and find from the order management side, accordingly you can set those attributes. Simply you can enable all, so whatever the information is required for us, that would be available. I'm just selecting all the attributes to be available for the search within the supply chain process. And optionally you may set all these optional attributes also. Availability, fence definition, anything you can set, like say user defined load time, maybe 10 days duration. Here anything you can set, fill, or else you can ignore, there won't be an issue. ATP time fence specifications, maybe user defined 10 days. You can ignore, or else you can set as per your requirement. But for now, what we need is primarily the on-hand quantity should be displayed when you select the item within the order management. Already we discussed, if you have a stock availability within the inventory, without running this collection process and refresh and start order promising server jobs, the information won't be available. And accordingly, what information should be available by running those processes, those you can address here. Okay, on hand we specified, this is very important for us. And go to ATP rule assignment. Click on add and assignment basis. Item, just item should be available, and for the same item on hand quantity also system should display. Whether that on hand is available or not, system has to provide information. So select our item here. So you can find our item here after running this collect planning data job. If you don't run this, see, we created item. Okay, after item creation, if you are going to create ATP rule, you don't find this item in the ATP rule definition. If you want to see this item in the ATP rule definition, you should run this process. That is the reason we submitted for attribute called as item only. So find our item. What is the item name? ERP1002. This is item number, right? Search. Our item is available because of the job which we submitted. Say OK. Fine. Or else I can just, we have another ATP rule also which we created. Better what we can do is, this ATP rule we are creating only for back-to-back order purpose, right? You can say ERP3 ATP rule for back-to-back order, just to differentiate with the existing rule. Say save and close. Fine, we created ATP rule also. Fine. Now what we are going to do? So we got order from the customer, right? So to fulfill that order, customer requirement, one way we are going to purchase, another way we are going to sell. So because there is order from customer, we are going to purchase from our supplier and we are going to sell to our customer. Now these two activities we are going to perform. Okay, these two activities we are going to perform. So for that reason, what we have to do is, as we are going to do these two activities, we have to create sourcing rules accordingly. Here we have a sourcing rules. Next step is sourcing rules we have to create. So one sourcing rule we have to create for the purpose of what we are going to purchase, another sourcing rule for sale, okay, what we are going to sell. Fine. So we'll go and create these two sourcing rules, one for purchase, one for sale, or else you can call as we are going to buy the item, okay, and we are going to, or say we are going to receive and we are going to ship, or else we are going to buy and we are going to sell. Anything you can take. Okay, we are going to buy as well as we are going to sell. Now we have to create two sourcing rules, one for buy process, the same item we are going to buy, the same item we are going to sell. So now we'll go and create the sourcing rules. Go to task list. Here you can find sourcing rules. So click on create. So we created already a few sourcing rules, right? Earlier to test the sales order creation and other concepts we created, but let's ignore it. Now we'll create how we require. Fine. The first we'll create the sourcing rules for buy purpose. Say ERP tree. We are creating the sourcing rule for buy purpose. When you are going to buy that material from the supplier, you are going to buy from, you will be receiving. When you buy, you will be taking that material into specific inventory, right? Normally, if you are going to sell, you can ship the material from any inventory, but for this back-to-back order purpose, you may use specific inventory, right? That inventory you can specify here. To address, you will receive the material, the back-to-back item into which inventory organization, that you can specify by selecting local. Okay, that means you are going to receive the material into specific inventory. Which inventory you can select here? The inventory is dollars inventory, right? Search and select. Okay, the item we want to receive into this inventory later will be shipping to the customer. And click on sourcing rule effective dates. Click on add. Yes, it should start the start date. We can take today's date. Okay, here effective start date with by following this date, for which source we are defining this sourcing rule. Click on add. So we are going to buy. That means the sourcing type you have to select as a buy from. So here you can clearly specify from which supplier you are going to buy. From which supplier you are going to buy, that you can specify. Here already we given, once you purchase from the supplier, will be taking into which inventory we given. Okay, from which supplier you are going to buy, that we can select as a part of this definition. So which supplier we used, I think ERP tree supplier, right? ERP tree. Yes, this supplier we used to test our P2P cycle as well as to record the requisitions, purchase orders within the purchasing application. Right. You can select this supplier. That means we are going to buy from this supplier. The supplier may have multiple sites. From which site we are going to buy? From the site 1. Okay. Supplier site source system. You can select the value called as OPS. And allocation percent. If you are going to buy from this supplier, you are going to buy 100% of material whatever the customer is in the need. Say you received order from the customer for 100 quantity, the 100 quantity or 10 quantity, 5 quantity you want to buy from the same supplier, or else you want to buy from the different suppliers, that you can specify. Whatever the material we required, we want to buy 100% of material from the same supplier, from the same site. And ranking always you can give as a first high precedence. So this is how you can define one sourcing rule for the purpose of purchasing from this supplier, because system will use, because it's going to be automation. Okay, when you create the sales order, based on that, system has to identify against the sales order what are the material we required to purchase, from which supplier we are going to purchase. The system should tag this information into sales order creation itself. That is the reason we have to define this setup, so that these details system will derive into sales order definition. Done. Now you can say save and create another. We are going to create one more sourcing rule for sales purpose. Say ERP tree is for sales purpose, or you can say shipping or sale or sell, anything you can write. So yes, when you are going to sell, you can pick the material from any inventory. Okay, so if you define like that, this would be useful for any inventory organization, but ideally you may select local and our inventory only. That means we'll be selling from our inventory only. We'll be picking the material and everything from there. You can keep it as global, or else for this purpose also you can select specific inventory. There won't be an issue with that. Fine. Now you can click on add. Scroll little down, click on add. Already we created one rule for buy or purchase purpose. Now the other rule is sale purpose. The sale purpose we have to select as transfer from. Okay, you have to select as a transfer from. So from which organization will be shipping the material? ERP tree Dallas will ship the material to customer from which inventory organization. In the previous sourcing rule we defined, we receive the material into this inventory. In this rule we are specifying from this inventory will ship the material to customer. That's it. The allocation percentage, yes, you will be shipping the material to the customer. Okay, from this inventory, how much percentage of material? 100%. What is the quantity customer required? The total quantity we want to ship from this inventory only. And ranking you can specify as a 1. That's it. So this is how we have to create two sourcing rules, one for receiving, one for shipping. That means one for purchasing, one for sale. Done. Now you can say save and close. So we created sourcing rules. Now we have to create sourcing assignment set. Okay, now we have to create sourcing assignment set. When I talk about sourcing assignment set, the two sourcing assignment sets we have to create, one for buy, one for sell. means, or else one for receiving, one for shipping. When we'll go and define here sourcing sets, also we have to create two. Okay, the same. Done. Now go to sourcing assignment set. Go to task list. Here we have sourcing. Here, of course, the name wise they did give as a sourcing. Assignment set is nothing but sourcing assignment set only. Just click on manage assignment sets. Okay. By default, Oracle provides one sourcing set called as global order promising sourcing set. You can assign, okay, what are the sourcing rules you define in this, or else we can create our own sourcing set also. Okay, we'll go and create our own. Okay, we'll go and create our own. Just click on cancel, or else you can assign your organizations and all what we are going to do within our sourcing rule sets. The same you can add within this global order promising sourcing assignment set also. We'll create our own. Just click on create. Just provide the name as this sourcing set we are creating for the purpose of back-to-back order purpose, or else you can create one and you can use for all the purposes. So say ERP tree sourcing set. You can write this name. Fine. Now just go to add and place cursor here. The sourcing set, what we have to do, one for buy purpose, another one for ship purpose, right? That's what we discussed. The sourcing set, whatever we are going to create, within that we have to create the two rules, one for buy, another one for sell. So the first buy purpose, what we'll do is, for buy purpose we'll define one sourcing assignment, one rule. Okay, so for buy purpose what we can do is we can select the combination of item and organization, which item we are receiving into which inventory organization to address. You can select item and organization as a assignment level. So which item you are receiving into which inventory organizations, specify here. We are going to receive the item into ERP tree dollars inventory, ERP tree dollars inventory. We are receiving item, which item we are receiving into this inventory organization. So this is one which we created, right? ERP 1002 ERP MacBook. This is the one which we created earlier to test different scenarios. But this is the item which we enabled for back-to-back. Select this item. Okay, we created separate sourcing rule, right? Sourcing rule we created. So here sourcing type, select as the sourcing rule. What are the sourcing rule you created for buy purpose, that you have to select here. We created sourcing rule for buy purpose, right? That you have to select. We give a name as ERP tree. So ERP tree search. This is the rule you have to select. Save OK. In the sourcing assignment set, we created one rule for buy. Now we have to create one more rule for sell. Click on add. So when you talk about the sale, simply you can specify which item you are going to sell. That's more than enough. Select item, assignment level as item, which item we are going to sell. Same item. ERP1002. Select and say OK. Fine. So for this sale purpose also we have a sourcing rule which we defined, right? That you have to select here. ERP tree sell. That's how we given the name. Done. So this is how we have to define the sourcing assignment set with the two rules, one for buy, one for sell. Done. This all will help us to derive that information in this between these two applications. Okay, once you create the sales order, system will identify which is the for which item is back to back item and against which item, again with by tagging which is supplier, system has to create this requisitions, purchase order and everything, and it would sync, all the information will sync between these different applications, which applications: order management, purchasing and inventory. Fine, we're done with the sourcing assignment set definition. Now the same set, what within which is set we have our item, this set we have to set as a default set. Okay, we have to set as a default set by using the profile option. Here you can say save and close. Save and close. Cancel. Okay, what are the sourcing assignment set we created that we should set as a default? Whatever the sourcing set is available through default profile option, so that sourcing set only system can access. Now we'll go and set up that profile option. Click on user, go to setup and maintenance. And go to search page, search for the task called as administrator profile values. Instead of typing the full name, you can type profile values. So this is a task we require to set the profile option. So now what we want to do is the sourcing assignment set, whatever we created, that we have to set as a default set for this entire instance, for this process. This process in the sense not only for back to back, for any order management related process. Okay, now the profile option you can search with the term called as MSP. So you can search with, I think you can find as a code. Okay, you can search, I think it is MSP default. Let's try with this. MSP underscore default, search. Yeah. So profile display name is order promising sourcing assignment. Okay, order promising sourcing assignment set, that is a profile option name. Code you could see as MSP default assignment set. So here make sure that the sourcing set assignment, whatever we created, you are selecting here. We given name as ERP tree sourcing set, right? Yes, this only we created. So save and close. What is the next step? We're done with this. Okay. So what is the profile option we used, or profile code we used, that is related to MSP, right? You can say that point also. I'll just add here. Set sourcing assignment set as default set. Okay, by using the profile option, or profile option code is MSP default. I think it's there as assignment set, right? Assignment set. By using this profile option, you can do that assignment. That is also we completed. Now when you create the sales or when you create the sales order, against that system has to create requisition as well as purchase order. When you create the purchase order, who is creating the purchase order, we select. But for this sales order, whom you want to set to act as a preparer for that procurement related documents, that you have to set as a rule within the order management. Okay, we have to set the default procurement preparer. Ideally, this default procurement preparer we have to set from order management by using order management parameters. So go to our project. Go to our implementation project. Click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Our project name is ERP tree implementation project. Okay, within our project, search for the task called as order management parameters. By using order management parameters only, you can set this default procurement preparer. By using the task called as order management parameters. Search for order management parameters. Manage order management parameters. Click on go to task icon. For which BU is acting as a procurement preparer, that's what we have to set. Here we have a few parameters. Out of that, just find out parameter called as preparer for procurement. Select it. Click on add. For our ERP tree US business unit, who is going to act as a preparer, that's what we have to set. Go to the type ERP tree. I think it is not fetching. Search. For this business unit, who is going to act as a procurement preparer? Select our username. Our user is employee user, so we are selecting that employee to act as a preparer. Select and say OK. That's all. Say save and close. We completed this setup also. So system is going to create the requisition purchase order automatically. So we have to make sure that the ship to bill to locations are available for supplier level as a default. Go to our supplier. Our supplier is ERP3 supplier 1. Under procurement, click on supplier's task. Go to task list, say manage suppliers. Find our supplier. ERP3 supplier 1. Click on edit. Go to site assignments directly. Okay. Go to sites and click on edit. Go to site assignments. So there is no ship to and bill to. Set ship to and bill to for this supplier site. When system create this requisition to purchase order, it required this information to select default. So ERP3 search, I think we created with this name. Yes, the ship to bill to location you can select as a US location. Done. We specified these details. So save and close. Say submit. Okay. We'll just complete this setup also, then we'll go and run this process. So we'll go and enable customer sales order fulfillment feature at procurement offering level. If you don't do that, you will be able to create sales order and all. But when you are dealing with this back-to-back order process, it won't trigger the requisition purchase order creation within the purchasing application. Okay, there we will struck if you don't set this option. Go to procurement offering. Setup and maintenance. This you should enable not only for this back to back, the same is required for drop shipment also. Go to actions, say go to offerings. And go to procurement, select procurement, click on opt-in features. Okay, just click on opt-in features. Against procurement, you could notice the features edit icon. Click on that. So here you can notice customer sales order fulfillment. Okay, this was not enabled in the Vision instance also. For other batch, when we were testing this scenario, I enabled. In fresh instance, you should enable. Okay, this you could see by default disabled mode. You have to enable this checkbox, customer sales order fulfillment. Otherwise, your back-to-back sales order won't create requisition and purchase order within the purchasing application. Say done. Now submit job called as refresh and start order promising server, so that whatever the information is available in the collection repository, that would be available in the order management for transaction process. Till now the information should be available for setup purpose. Now we're done with all the setup. The same information should be available for the sales order process. Now go to schedule process. Okay, just click on schedule processes and click on schedule new process. Okay, search for refresh and start order promising. Just click on search. Select this job, refresh and start the order promising server and say OK. And just click on OK and submit. When you are submitting, which data need to be refreshed, those you have to select as a parameters. Okay. So anyway, against the item we don't have any on hand, still you have to select it, whether it is available or not. System would display in the same way ATP rules, etc. fulfillment lines. The best thing what you can do is, there won't be an issue, you can select all the parameters and submit. If you select all the parameters, it may take a little bit more time to complete the job, but everything would get refreshed. If something is missing, that also system would include. Enable. Enable all. Submit. Okay, we are going to refresh all these parameters based data. So since we selected all parameters, it will take few minutes time. So wait till this job complete with the status called as succeeded. Okay. So instead of recording this waiting time, I'm going to pause the recording. Once this job completes, I'll just resume the recording. Okay, now we can see most of the jobs are completed. The status called succeeded, and better we can select hierarchy so that we can see the master jobs. Let's refresh. So this is a job which we submitted. Refresh and start the order promising server. The same job triggered many child jobs. You could see there are many. All the job status is succeeded. Okay, triggered separate jobs for each parameter almost, and the final status is succeeded. Done. So we're done with this. Now we'll go and create the purchase agreement. We'll create an agreement with the supplier so that whenever we create sales order, system would create purchase requisition. Since agreement we are going to create, automatically system would create purchase order against that agreement. So we'll go and create agreement, go to purchase agreements. So create agreement. So here we can proceed with a blanket purchase agreement, and we want to create this blanket purchase agreement against which supplier. Here Petri supplier 1. Select supplier, system is defaulting site, then say create. Fine. So here you can provide the start date and date, but not mandatory. The agreement amounts and all we can enter. First we'll look at the lines. Click on add. So we want to create the agreement against which item? ERP 1002. This is our back-to-back order item. Select this item. In the item level, we set price as $500. The same system is defaulting. Fine. If you want to view other columns, also say show all. Here we are able to see very limited. Just select show all. So now you can see system added the hidden columns. Okay. Here you can enter agreement quantity, say 10 quantity, and in case of 10 quantity the unit price is 500, so 5000 you can enter. The agreement amount is 5000, the same you can enter. The minimum release amount, you can say 500, that means minimum one quantity. Okay, this and all you can specify, and just check. We created auto approvals, right? For this business unit, if any document we are going to create, system has to approve automatically. Just click on manage approval so that system would show if you submit this document for approvals, how it would be routed. Just click on manage approvals. Yeah, the same we can see. So application development framework application means it's auto approvals. Okay, if you submit this agreement for approvals, that would be approved by system automatically. That's how we define the rule for our business unit, right? So directly you can submit from here. Just click on submit. This document will be submitted for approval. Okay, at the time of document creation itself, you have seen document number is 1. Now just go to task list. Just click on manage agreements. The agreement number, whatever system created, is 1. So you can enter agreement number as 1. Then click on search. Below system is displaying the same. The agreement number is 1. So pending for approval. Okay, take some time to update the status as a approved. Just click on agreement number, will open and will close. So meantime it will fetch the updates. Status is pending approval. I'm just clicking on the status, it may fetch updated status immediately. Here it is showing it's approved. We'll go back. We'll conduct this search again. Click on search. Now you can see the status as open. Open means approved. Done. Now we'll go and create the sales order. Okay. We'll go and create the sales order. Go to navigator. The navigator, go to supply chain execution. There you could see the task called as order management. Click on order management task. So from here we can create the sales order. Click on create order. Just click on create sales order. We'll just make a note of that sales order number after creating the sales order. Select our customer. Customer is ERP tree customer. ERP tree customer 1. Fine. System defaulted the customer details here. Now select item. Search for the item. ERP tree 1002. Search. Sorry, ERP, right? Item number is ERP 1002. Search for that item. It's available. Save OK. So no stock available against this item, right? The same system is updating out of stock. Okay, out of stock. The sales price we given $600. The same system is displaying. If you want to check this price is deriving based on which setups, that you can verify from the actions. First, let's say add. Out of stock, no stock available for this item. Fine. If you want to check this price and all, everything is deriving based on which setup, you can just go to view pricing status and segment. Just click on. So this is what we created. as a part of OEM setups. The same based on that only system is deriving the price. Done. Now you can validate this sales order. Click on validate. Say yes. Let system save this record. Okay. So order validation completed without errors. Say okay. Now submit this sales order. It's nothing but booking the sales order. So this is our sales order number. Say okay. See the line status not started. Just keep hitting on this refresh tab. It would update the status as per what workflow. The default workflow is available for back-to-back order process. Okay. System would initiate back-to-back order workflow, which we call as do distributor order orchestration based on the item. For this item, back-to-back option is enabled, so it would initiate the back-to-back order workflow only. The status you could see is scheduled. Okay, supply request complete. Okay, supply request complete. System created supply request. It's nothing but it created requisition in the purchasing application. Okay, now what we can do is, okay, we have to run the process called as release planning recommendations. So then it will generate the requisition in the purchasing application. Against that, it would create purchase order also, since we have a agreement against the same supplier. Here, or else what you can do is, so supply request complete. Now you can just go to actions. Go to actions, say switch to fulfillment view. Go to fulfillment lines. Go to supply details. Scroll a little down. System has to update the supply order number here. For that, you have to run the process. Release planning recommendations. If you run, it would update that number here. Click on done. So awaiting shipping. Okay. So that is the line status. Now what you can do is, it created requisition and created purchase order also. Okay. We'll go and run this process. Release planning recommendations. Go to schedule process. Okay, select this job and say okay. click on OK and submit. OK. So now we can see all jobs are completed. Okay, this is the job we submitted, release planning recommendations. There are few shade jobs where system called. Done. Now go to our sales order. Order management. This is our order number. Search. Go to actions. Switch to fulfillment view. System created. Supply order number. This is a supply order number. Awaiting supply. Okay, you can click on this number. Just click on supply order number. Select this line. Here you can notice system created requisition. Requisition is created. Select this line and select buy tab because this is buy item, not make item. Here the requisition number is 2. System created requisition number 2. Against this requisition, hope system created purchase order also, since we have agreement with the supplier. Fine. Done. Click on done. Now switch to purchasing. Just click on done. Go to purchase requisitions or purchase orders. I think just let's navigate to purchase orders. Go to task list. Go to process requisitions. you can find as our requisition system created requisition as well as it converted the requisition as a purchase order against the blanket purchase agreement. Requisition number is 2. Search. One second. Search. This is a different one. Go to purchase requisitions. It should display. We have seen at the sales order level created, right? Go to manage requisitions. We will wait for some time since it's not updated here. Fine. So we are not able to find the requisition which is created. I guess one setup is missing. We'll just go and perform it. So that is here we can set we can add that setup here. Set default buyer. Okay, set default buyer for our business unit so that when system would try to create the purchase order against the requisition, so system can identify the buyer name. This could be the reason system is not creating. We're not able to find the requisition. Again, it's the same system has to create the purchase order also since we have a agreement created. So go to instance. Go to our project. Manage implementation projects. Our project is ERP tree. Search with a buyer. There will be one task called as buyer assignment rule. Click on buyer assignment rules. Click on go to task icon. Click on add. Select our business unit. ERP tree US business unit. And for this business unit, if system is going to create purchase order, which name system has to take as a buyer? ERP tree system should pick as a buyer. That's it. So save and close. We're done with this. Now we'll go and create the sales order and we'll see how it is going to act. Go to order management. Under supply chain execution, click on order management task. So this also be completed. So create order. Just click on create order. Our customer name is ERP3 customer 1. Select customer. And select item. Item is ERP 1002, which is MacBook, right? It's out of stock, yes. This item is back-to-back order item. So click on add. So if you want to specify the other details related to shipping, you can add those details. Shipping method, these details you can add, or else you can ignore, not mandatory. If you want to add, you can add here. Shipping method, and go to supply tab, warehouse, arbitrary dollars inventory. These details are not mandatory, you can ignore, or else you can add. Validate the sales order. Say yes to save. So order validation complete without any errors. Click on submit. So this is our sales order number. You can make a note. Say OK. Just click on refresh. The current status is not started. Scheduled. Supply request complete, because this is a back-to-back order. So it created supply request to create the requisition. Still click on refresh. So it should turn the status into awaiting shipment. Okay, awaiting shipping. Now go to actions, click on switch to fulfillment view. Go to fulfillment lines. Scroll little down. Under general tab, you could see the orchestration process number for this sales order. Just click on that number. So whatever the workflow we have for this back-to-back order process, you could see how it is available within the system. Schedule, yes, scheduled. Task is progress is completed. Okay. Request orchestration of supply. Supply request is completed, and it is passed. Okay, it is passed in this stage The next step would be, it's all about, we'll just perform the shipping for this back-to-back process. For shipping of the back-to-back, system is awaiting for shipping. Now what we have to do is, the supply request has been completed. We have to run the process which will get that the requisition information into purchasing application. So here we're done with the sales order creation. Now we have to run a release planning recommendations job. Go to schedule processes, tools, schedule processes. Click on schedule new process. The job name is release the planning recommendations. Okay, this is a task we have to select, save, OK, and submit. Now against which sales order the supply request is completed, the same sales order, based on the request, it would create requisition in the purchasing application. If any agreement is available against the same supplier, okay, based on the setups whatever we completed for this back-to-back order process, system would create purchase order also automatically. Click on refresh. Fine. So this job is completed. Now we can switch to order management. Just switch to order management. And our sales order number is this. Go to actions, say switch to fulfillment view. Now here you can just go to supply details tab. Here you can find the back-to-back supply order number. Just click on this number and select this line. Just select buy tab. That system is showing the purchase requisition has been created. Here status, it is showing in purchasing. So you can keep hitting on this refresh tab. It should create purchase order also against the same requisition. Just keep hitting on this. Take some time and it will create purchase order against the same requisition. So meantime, we can go and check some other details. Click on done. Go to actions, say check availability. Here go to availability options, expand availability options. Select the same, select this record and go to action, say availability details. Here you can see on what base system is going to create the requisition and all. So here system is showing item called ERP 1002 for one quantity. Okay, we are going to buy from ERP tree supplier 1. So based on these details, system would create requisition. Against the same requisition, system will create the purchase order. Okay, these we define through our setups. Done. Click on supply order number. So now you can see the line status is awaiting receipt. That means system created purchase requisition. Against the purchase requisition, system created purchase order also. Since we have agreement, okay, the purchase order number is 3. We'll go and find the same purchase order. If not purchase order, the requisition number is 6. Any document you can go and find. Now this line status is awaiting receipt. So we have to receive the material. Now go to, say, purchase orders. Go to task list. You can say, you can just select task called as process requisitions. There also you can see as requisition as converted as a purchase order, or else you can click on view requisition lines. So you want to find which requisition. The requisition number is 6. Select requisition being used ERP tree US business unit. Requisition number is 6. Click on search. So this requisition system created, you can see here against the sales order the same information. Against this requisition system created purchase order with the number 3. So against this requisition system created order called 3. So here there is some information icon. If you click on this, for what purpose this is created, that you could see. Requested goods are to fulfill a customer sales order. To fulfill the customer sales order, this requisition has been created. Against the same purchase order also created, since we have a agreement. So done. Now against this purchase order, we are going to create the receipt. PO number is 3. Under supply chain execution, click on inventory management. Okay, under supply chain execution, click on inventory management. Go to task list. can go to receipts and say receive expected shipments. Receive expected shipments. We are going to create the receipt against purchase order number 3. Click on search. So select, click on receive. Just click on receive. How much quantity we are going to receive? One quantity. And destination type is receiving. So I create receipt. Just click on create receipt. Wait for a second, it is taking time. Okay. ID is not responding. Yes. Okay, say submit. Here you could see the same details, whatever you given, receiving quantity. Just click on submit. Click on submit to complete the receipt creation against the purchase order 3. Submitted this and we created receipt. Now you can go and check the on hand quantity. Okay, receipt number is 3. Say okay. We know very well how to go and check the on hand quantity availability. The same process you can follow and you can check. Now the next step is we have to perform the pick wave for picking process. Go to task list and select shipments and create pick wave. Click on create pick wave. Our receipt number is 3, right? So here you can just order type is sales order and this is sales order number. Say release now. So in the partially completed, you have not saved your changes. One second. Create pick wave. This is the rule which we created as a part of setups. You can select customer. You can just say search. Okay, issues. Yeah. So release now. Released. The next step is we have to confirm the pick slip. Go to task list. Say confirm pick slip. Just click on confirm pick slip task. So we can search with the order number. Search. Search. Fine, it's not fetching, no issues. Let's go to shipment lines directly. Manage shipment lines. Our order number is this. Search. And go to action, say pick release. Okay, perform pick release. Click on cancel. Okay, we perform the pick release. Now we can do the ship confirmation. Manage shipments. Shipment number. We take the shipment number, no issues. You can search. This is our order number 373. The latest one is 189. I think this is the one. Just click on the shipment. So this is the order number. This is the different. These all are closed. Let's do the ship confirmation also from here itself. Why this is our order number. Quick release we done. Didn't create any shipment. Just try to create the shipment automatically. The shipment was created. This is shipment number. Sorry. Open the same shipment. Select shipping method and expand the show details. We should provide the transportation reason as a sale or anything. What is the reason? Then now you can perform the ship confirmation. Say ship confirm. Say yes. Say save and close. And done. Now switch to order management. Refresh these lines. Go to general. Click on orchestration process number. It's not yet updated. Search. Still the status is awaiting shipping. So switch to inventory. Manage shipments. This is the shipment number. Search. Shipping exceptions. No exceptions we have. We perform the ship confirmation also. Just one second. Why it is not updating? Fine. Somehow we are not able to perform that. So what we'll do is we'll try with one more sales order. Okay. We'll check on side. So create order. Just one second. We'll do it. Say create order. Our customer is ERP3. Select. Item is ERP 1002. Out of stock. Say add. Validate the sales order. Submit. This is sales order number. Okay, now we'll go and submit this job. Release planning recommendations. Switch to schedule processes. Say submit. Say OK. Now switch to the same sales order. Order management. This is our sales order number. Find our sales order. Status is awaiting shipping. Go to actions, switch to fulfillment view. Go to supply details. Click on supply order number. Create a requisition. Just keep hitting on this refresh to update the status as awaiting receipt, and it will display the purchase order details here. Anyway, here you can see requisition number is 7. We'll go and try to find that requisition. Meantime, system will create purchase order also. So requisition number is 7. Go to purchase orders. Say view requisition lines. Requisition number is 7. Click on search. So requisition is created against that purchase order also system created. The PO number is 4. I will receive the material against this PO. Go to inventory management. Go to receipts. I think earlier we didn't perform put away. That is the reason we were not able to do it. Yes. So say receive expected shipments. The PO number is 4. Select, say receive. So much quantity 1. So create receipt. Yes, this was the issue earlier. Say submit. We received into staging, but we didn't take into the actual sub inventory location. Done. Now we have to perform put away receipt, right? So put away receipt to move the material from receiving area to the actual inventory. PO number is 4. Search. This step we were missing earlier. Say put away. Taken into the sub inventory. iPhone sub inventory. Say submit. Now this quantity would get updated in the inventory as an on-hand quantity. Done. Now we can perform the shipping. Go to task list. Go to shipments. Say create pick wave. Sales order. This is our sales order number. Say release now. Released. Number of pick slips created 1. So earlier we were trying to perform these steps without performing the put away receipt. Done. So now we have to perform the pick slip confirmation. This is our order number. Click on search. Select. Just click on the pick slip. Select ready to confirm. How much quantity we are going to pick from the inventory? 1 quantity. Requested quantity 1. We are picking only 1 quantity. Now you can say simply confirm and go to ship confirmation. Select shipping method. Specify transportation reason, which system will expect as a mandatory. Okay, the shipped quantity is 1. Now perform the ship confirmation. This is the shipment number. So yes. Okay. Ship confirmation also we did. Now we can import that information into receivables. Before that, go to the same sales order, order management. This is our sales order number. Go to actions, switch to fulfillment view. Just click on supply order number. Select orchestration plan. Here status you can see as a fulfilled. Basically here also it should display. It may take some time to display that information. It would display all those details. Or else we can try from this. Go to general, click on orchestration process number. Here you can see shipped. Now only it's waiting for invoice creation. Done. Now submit, import our invoice process. Go to schedule process. Click on schedule new process. Job name is import auto invoice. Import auto invoice. Say OK. Click on OK. So transaction source system uses the source called as distributed order orchestration for this auto invoice creation. Desktop parameters are optional. You can say submit. Say OK. Fine. Now we can go through this execution report and you can see, or else directly you can navigate to receivables to find out the auto invoice which is created against the sales order. Go to receivables, go to billing task, go to task list, click on manage transactions. So select customer name, say OK. So reference nothing but sales order number. With this number you can search against the sales order. If any transaction is created, you could see that. Okay. So this is how we can create this invoice and the receivables by following the back-to-back order process. Okay. Done. You can check on hand once you take that material from the receiving area to the actual sub inventory. So this is all about back to back order process. Okay, we'll see other concepts which are pending from order management. Okay, we'll discuss other topics and we'll do the required configuration and we'll execute the process. Okay, so that's all for today. So we'll connect in the next session. We'll pick some other topic and we'll work on it.